Hey, boys and girls, buffaloes and bunnies. We're here with another episode of Rational Empiricist Ranting and eating all the creationist lettuce.
You didn't really know how angry Andrew was, did you?
Yes, no, he's really...
I could conceive of. He's an angry, ranting young man.
Just as a kind of an observation, 2 years ago when you came into this community, or a year and a half ago, you were really kind and gentle, and you've been getting angrier.
Yeah, I know.
As have we all.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I've been tainted by the fire.
But was deleted by YouTube. Oh, okay, I'm reading chat. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so today's episode of ARE Rants is going to focus on phylogenetics. Yay. And basically what I'm going to try and do, what I'm going to attempt to do.
So when did you take an interest in phylogenetics? This is such a surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, was that sarcasm?
Heavy.
Yeah, that was sarcasm, yes.
Serious.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were asking when I actually started to take an interest in it or not.
That's a good question to ask, just so people can get to know you a little better. Andrew, when did you first take an interest in phylogenetics, and why did that become an interest?
Let's see. The first part of it, I guess a few months ago. I can't really recall, but the second part of the question, probably for two reasons off the top of my head. First of all, phylogenetics, first and foremost, is an area of discipline that is very complex and very nuanced. And because of that, the second reason, because of that, it's also interesting, and that it kind of dumbfounds creationists, and that it's narrow enough but broad enough that you can look into the details of it, but there's always more than just that. But there's enough detail. Oh, I hear an echo.
Really? Oh, it'll go away.
Oh.
It'll go away. Just keep talking.
Okay. Yeah.
Echo cancellation, I get it.
Okay.
Still hear an echo?
Yeah. It's.
Do you hear an echo, Scott?
Slightly.
Yeah.
I'm muted on all my tabs, so I don't know.
Well,
maybe your mic is doing something weird, Speed.
Not doing anything different than it was doing before when we were in the back room. So sounds to me like a personal problem. But I'll go ahead and put these goddamn headphones on and shut off my speaker just for you. Oh, kids today. Shit.
Yeah.
How's it now?
Okay, now it seems to be good. All right.
Okay.
So what was I saying? Yeah, so basically I like phylogenetics because it's a broad discipline, but it's also detailed enough so that when you talk to creationists about it, you really have a variety of gotcha questions for them, and it kind of shows that they haven't studied it deeply enough. So I guess that's one reason I like it, is because it's interesting and it kind of shows that creationists don't know what they're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
Well, yeah, I'm still thinking about this evolution of the liver thing that I've been working on for a while. And when you look at it, we've got, hang on a second.
And again, there's the corollary of that, the evolution of the liver and onions.
Yeah. So we got what is it? The lancelet, I think, has a really degenerate liver. But the problem, is it Amphioxus? I think it's Amphioxus. The problem with that is that, we're looking at our liver and we're looking at this other extant species, that's alive today. It has also been evolving for a couple 100 million years, right?
Right.
So, and it's often misunderstood that when you have these 2 points, when we're looking at some primitive version of an organ in some other extant species, you have to draw 2 dots, that thing and us. And then you go all the way back and you realize that there was a common ancestor that was very, very different than either one of those.
Right.
Okay. But, so yeah, those things, creationists don't seem to get that part about it, or they refuse to. They refuse to understand when they say, well, you get does a pine tree have a whale for a baby or something like that? A pine tree giving birth to a whale. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, it's really because it's based on speciation, and they don't understand speciation that well. So of course they don't understand how common descent works.
Right, but we can make some inferences from these degenerate organs that we see in another living species.
Right.
It's just that you can't figure, you're not going to, you can start to figure out what that common ancestor might have been, because obviously in the Amphioxus lineage, the liver did not turn into a big complex organism like it did with us.
Right. Yeah, it's when you're comparing multiple organisms, it's like you said, in the lancelet, for example, you're not going to find a version of the liver that is exactly the same as that of the common ancestor.
Right.
In terms of the liver, you have to compare multiple data points, and that's kind of one thing where when they're doing phylogenetics, at least they're picking and choosing the data. They're not looking at multiple characteristics at a time. And in particular, as we'll see in a bit with some of these claims that I wrote up, they actually choose the least meaningful characteristics as if we are using those characteristics to do phylogenetics, which in fact, it's not quite like that. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Long story short, there are certain characteristics, certain characters, I should say, that when you encode it into the matrix, you give, like, for example, your never mind. I'm gonna go off tangent. Anyways, so this first claim that I want to tackle comes from Dr. Grady McMurtry in his discussion with SFT the other day, and how I was asking him this, or well, I wasn't personally asking him, but SFT asked him my question regarding nested hierarchies and how it fits within creationism. And it turns out that I found a few things about how Grady McMurtry thinks about phylogenetics and nested hierarchies.
Can I make a prediction about it?
Sure, go ahead.
he believes in phylogenetics pretty much the same way they did in the 1970s or early 80s.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable summary. Yeah, in many aspects. Yeah.
That was when his thinking was crystallized back in the 70s. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I got distracted there for some reason. Yeah. So basically, the claim he makes, it's actually kind of a composition of multiple claims, but basically I wrote it as a nested hierarchy of life is arbitrary, an illusion by ranking things together according to arbitrary characteristics such as height, size, shape, and birth date. Just as if you line up 100 people by their birth date, you will get some who happen to match, but that is by coincidence, not common ancestry. So that's what I wrote. That's basically the gist of his argument. And what's so cool about it, or maybe cool isn't the right word, but what's so interesting about it is that it almost perfectly matches what we don't do in phylogenetics and what in fact we say we tell creationists that we don't do in phylogenetics, basically, which namely is the comparison of phonetic similarity rather than phylogenetic similarity, basically. And for those of you out there who don't know what phonetics is, it's basically kind of the early approach to phylogenetic classification before we really standardized phylogenetics. And it mostly deals with looking at certain characteristics that have to do with overall morphology and similarity. So this is before we had any molecular data, for example.
Yeah, it's like the Linnaean system, right?
Yeah, it's similar to the Linnaean system, except it's still tied to evolution, basically. It's basically figuring out common ancestry based on overall similarity. Now, nobody does that anymore because we figured out that's not how phylogenetic relationships are best determined. So, for example, when he says, "Oh, if you compare lots of different individuals," well, that's another thing. He's comparing individuals, and he's comparing traits that we know from other research is very highly variable in individuals and not so highly variable between species, which is what we need. We need to find just the right amount of variation such that we can compare it between species and not say, oh, this is a fluke or this is a statistical anomaly, basically.
Right.
Which is what height and birth date and size are. They don't matter to phylogenetic classification or phylogenetic relatedness because they vary so much. That is, well, to be more precise, they carry a low phylogenetic signal. That is, you're going to, like he said, get completely different trees if and only if you were to base it off of those characters. But of course, that's not what we do in phylogenetics. We try our best to base our analyses on characteristics that end up showing high phylogenetic signal, and the high phylogenetic signal that we find demonstrates that the characters are representative of some kind of relatedness, basically.
So is it in this video that we're referring? The one from where he was on SFT the other night?
Yeah. It's I forgot the timestamp, but yeah, it's that video.
If evolution was true, we would have more and more creatures that the mushroom tree bushes of life and the ones that became extinct would be inferior, and therefore evolutionists wouldn't worry about it. On the other hand, I don't know if this is, translations are.
It's well, the specific part where he's talking about this is let's see, try the hour 15 mark.
Okay, but just 100 random people off the streets, as they say, and I were to line them up.
Yeah, there we go.
Right. Okay. I would line them up by their height only. So the short, yeah, okay. So the shortest one,
which
on
again
one end, go ahead.
is another thing. We're not just lining them up, as is often said. It's much more sophisticated than that. It's not just eyeballing it, as I said earlier. We're coding it into a computer, and the computer is doing its job. Basically, it's spitting out the trees that make the most sense based on that available evidence, or the available data, I should say.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say, oh, we're just lining them up and making it appear this way, then you're basically arguing with how the computer is constructed, not the data available.
Chris Peacock, he has a doctorate of divinity from a unaccredited school, and there was some controversy. We covered that on the weather report on Friday, and there are links to a guy who did some research on McMurtry's McMurtry, on his real background, McMurtry. So anyway, if you want to look that up, that was fairly interesting. He has a bachelor's in forestry and apparently a master's from a different school, which, and I think he did a dissertation on pine trees or something. Anyway, so he's not exactly a modern PhD geneticist, and his education was in the 70s, which was 50 years ago, which pretty much is the dark ages of genetics. So anyway, go ahead, Andrew. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, then scientifically, I would prove people come in different heights, and that I have the intelligence to do this. What? Or if I took the exact same 100 people and this time lined them up by rank, in a rank of logical order sequence, but I don't do that by height. This time I'm going to do it by month and day that they were born. Okay, so he's doing it by their birthday, right? Yeah.
I don't care what year they were born. So yeah, you're going to come up with a different phylogeny, right?
Yeah.
But is that going to match? Well, their height has very little. I mean, that's too variable, right?
Yes, precisely. Yeah. It's a low signal trait. Well, you also have to compare it. Here, I'm gonna post a link in the private chat if you can share it on screen.
Okay.
Because there's an image of what the coding matrix I was talking about actually looks like, rather than just line you up here and there. Here we go. Okay, you three are related, this and that. It's, like I said, a lot more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, the thing is, if you did this by height and then you did it by birthday, I'm guessing you would come up with two very, very different trees.
Well, of course you will, but that's only based on one trait. A very inadequate trait, for lack of a better word.
Right. And then if we went and looked at insects, and now instead we found two different species of beetles, and we looked at the ridges on their back, basically the pattern on the back of their wings. Some of them have little divots on their wings. Other ones have lines. Other ones, have other. Now, if we use that kind of a trait between a bunch of beetles, so I mean, they love to use humans as an example, because it's very easy with human beings because of the way we've mixed around the earth. It's
right.
very easy to prove almost anything you want with the human genome today, right?
Right.
But let's go look at some beetles. Let's pick a clade of beetles and do a phylogeny on that instead.
Right. Well, you're also this is one reason. If you can share the the image I posted feed.
Oh, you want that too?
Yeah. Well, I saw you put in live chat.
Are you on a computer?
Yeah.
Be cool if somebody else would share. Then, you know.
Oh, well.
I'm just saying that, you know.
That's true.
Reconstructing trees. That way.
Just wanted to point out real quick that Top Dog Shattuck has opened up a forum on
Thanks, Top Dog.
Science and Naturalism site about phylogenetics and taxonomy.
Yeah, and you could actually contribute there, Andrew. And we could get that forum going a little bit, scienceandnaturalism.com, because so far Top Dog's the only one that's done any work on it. And I should be fired. I should have my YouTube channel taken away from me, and I should have that forum taken away from me, because I have not done any work.
Top Dog has really done a lot of hard work on that. He's worked like a dog.
A lot of hard work. Worked like a dog.
Everyone chat, give Top Dog a thanks.
Yeah.
Give him a high five.
High five for Top Dog.
Can you zoom in a little bit speed? Or just a teensy bit? If possible.
Oh. Whoops. What did I do? Okay. I can try. Let me try. What do you want me to zoom in on that?
Yeah, just the image.
Okay. That?
Yeah. There we go. All right. So basically, what you can see here is, well, specifically in the computers, you would do it. You would encode it such that if the character, the trait, is present in that species, that's going to be a 1, and if it's not present, it's going to be a 0, right? That kind of intuitive, makes sense. So you're going to take all these traits on one axis, and take all these traits on another axis, and say, okay, does this species have it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Going all the way across these traits. Now, obviously, some of these traits are going to conflict with one another just because of kind of the randomness of population genetics and evolutionary history and such. Like a good example would be, we wouldn't, well, maybe creationists would do this, but like we wouldn't group bats and birds together on the basis of wings, because we know from other characters that that trait of wings is what's called a homoplasy. So it arose convergently, independently in those lineages. And we know that by comparing all of the traits, not just one subset or just an individual trait, as the creationists are suggesting. So that's where they kind of take a leap off the cliff there. So I just
with wings, it's going to make a big difference between a bat wing and a bird wing. They have a very, very different structure as far as which bones they use.
Right.
And the fact that they have feathers instead of hair and skin. And there's just, there's a lot more to figuring this out than just say, oh, it has wings, so that would be the Brahmanology method of doing it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, those guys have done a little bit more work than that. And I think thus far they haven't figured anything out, really. The Brahmanologists, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And
sorry, go on.
I got that book by I forget who it is, but he's really into Brahmanology, and he had a real detailed diagrams for a whole bunch of stuff. But I think he left out cats entirely. I'm wondering why. Anyway.
Because cats should be left out. Come on, let's be.
I guess so. Yeah, cats suck.
No.
Cats suck. Yeah.
Hey,
all they do is meow, meow, meow. Does your cat go meow all night long?
No, she's actually pretty quiet. Even when she is meowing.
Mine get ennui at about 2:30 a.m. and they're running around, and they sound so sad that I have to wake up and say, "What's wrong, Loki? Do you need a little pet on the head?" It's like, fuck you for waking me up at 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Little assholes. Anyway.
Yeah. So one more thing before we move on to the next person I wanted to talk about is kind of the fact that, like I said earlier, we're not just eyeballing it. There's actually more in this website. It's a pretty good website for learning about evolution and phylogenetics anyway.
I should put it in the description.
Yeah, that'd be good. So anyone who wants to learn a lot more about phylogenetics, this website is very helpful.
Can I get back to the cat issue real quick?
And Top Dog could put it in our naturalism or science and naturalism forum if you wanted to. What now? Okay, go ahead.
I just want to comment on the cat issue real quick. It's when they quit going meow all night.
Yeah.
You start worrying about your life.
Oh yeah, because
quiet ones are thinking of ways to kill you in your sleep.
Yeah, I've had that happen where they're really quiet for a long time, and then I'll open my eyes, and they're sitting on my nightstand staring at me. Both of them. Yeah, that worries me. Okay, so should I cut the screen?
Yeah, sure. So the one other thing was, I've talked a lot before, so I don't really need to go into detail about it that much, but there are actually multiple reconstruction methods for building phylogenies. The simplest and in some fields most common method, but not always the most common one, is called maximum parsimony, where basically you're looking for the tree from this whole group of trees that you build, and you're looking for the specific tree or subset of trees that minimizes the amount of evolutionary change. So, for example, going back to the bat, bird, and insect example, for example, according to parsimony, and this is one reason why parsimony isn't always reliable in terms of certain data, where other methods need to be used instead, because you would, according to parsimony, group them by the wings because they all appear with that character, and the computer basically does its job and says, okay, they all share wings. They most likely shared that with the common ancestor. The common ancestor of all of them also had wings.
Sorry.
It's okay.
If I mute, I think you're the only one that happens to, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
But if I have to cough, I have to mute.
Oh, yeah.
I think the cats are tapping your Wi-Fi.
I got the Rona. Anyway. Okay. So Lewis talking about the evolution of brains, and that is a very, very long project getting into that. But that is something that right now I'm looking at the evolution of the liver, which is a little bit simpler. But the brain is definitely going to be on our radar at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about the brain that are really, really interesting when you look at the structure of brains. Like I have a 300-page, it's a book, and it's about a yard. It's about maybe 2.5 feet wide and 1.5 feet tall. And it's got like 30, maybe, 400 or 500 pages of rat brain. And there are 1,300 moving parts in the rat brain, basically. And relating them to primates, looking at the differences in the brain is very fascinating. But it's something we will get into. But That little book cost me about $500.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But boy, is it nice. I mean, it's just this huge, like poster-size detailed structure of the rat brain slices all the way through the rat brain.
Brains.
No, we triggered Scott. Goddamn. You worry me a little bit, Scott. I don't know. We're supposed to get together in November. I don't know if we're going to do that or not, unless you've had your blood or your brains. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, anyway. Brains. Big. Oh, shit, I said it again. Big discussion.
Yeah. Should I move on to the next person then?
Yes.
Okay. Or did you guys happen to see the video about junk DNA also with SFT? Or actually, all three of these are with SFT. I didn't actually think of that. But basically, did you see the one with who's Rana? I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name.
Foz. I think he calls it Foz Rana.
Yeah. Foz Rana. Okay.
Yeah.
The one with Foz Rana and junk DNA.
Oh, I don't think I watched that one. Ooh, that's a fun one.
Yeah. So basically, at one point or towards the end, he of course uses the standard automobile analogy to talk about again how nested hierarchies are arbitrary, quote unquote. But what's interesting is he actually kind of acknowledges. So the first thing I want to comment on is how he acknowledges there's an evolutionary history involved, or something analogous to a history involved with cars and trucks and things like that. Like designers incorporate new elements, and then those become the new line of cars, very simplistically, of course. But what I think he's basically doing there is conceding the point that nested hierarchies can really only be formed through a process of some kind of evolution or common descent, basically, of change, and that change becoming inherited through generations. And so that's kind of ironic to me, at least. But of course, if you do go literally with the car analogy, of course, there's going to be some disagreement between the trees you end up with of cars, because I guess technically you would call it horizontal gene transfer in a sense between the cars, right? Or horizontal transfer of component parts between manufacturers, basically, because that pretty much destroys the hierarchy, because now everything is crossing over, and that's actually pretty common as far as I'm aware. Yeah. Right, Scott? Do you happen to have any knowledge on cars and stuff like that, Scott?
Not particularly.
Okay, that's okay.
I used to like circa 1960s.
However, with cars, you can you can't do that so much anymore. But you used to could swap out parts from one brand of car to another quite easily, which kind of undercut the idea of.
Yeah, the Mercury Cougar was the same as the Thunderbird if you stripped off the skin, basically, I believe. Mercury Cougar, right. Thunderbird, yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun to do a phylogeny of cars sometimes and look what happened. And I think right around probably the 1980s, I think they really started to mix it up, because they started to, we had the minivan, and then we had, little SUVs, big SUVs, and it just went nuts.
Sedans, yeah.
Yeah, they all started to merge characteristics because they were trying to hit the biggest market possible.
Right. So, Yeah. The manufacturers kind of incorporate elements from other companies, basically, and that.
Yeah, but they all have a steering wheel. Therefore, evolution is false, right?
Well, like their point is that you can have, because again, their argument is based on the concept that a nested hierarchy is just about phonetic similarity. It's about these two things share X, therefore they're related, which isn't how phylogenetics is done. So when they say, okay, these two cars share the same steering wheel, and so that's a nested hierarchy. So that means that evolution can be designed too. It doesn't work because they're basing it off a false premise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
do you have a link to that video for Standing for Truth in Rana?
Hold on, let me look.
Because I cannot find it.
Oh, really?
Nope. Well, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, the most recent one is like 8 months ago, and that was with.
He did one a few days ago.
Why am I not saying? Are you sure it was on SFT's channel or was it on Creation?
Yeah, it was on SFT's channel
a few days ago. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on a second here. 2 days ago. Okay, we got McMurtry, and then we have some sort of bullshit. Let's see. Did man longevity, biblical longevity, Joe Rogan, Jason Lyle, Sanford, Benny Hinn. There actually is a Benny Hinn, by the way. Kent Hovind. Nope, I can't find it. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
Here. See if this link works.
Oh my goodness. So let me take a look. Yeah, it does. And that was September 10th, 2021. So how long ago was that?
Like 2 days ago.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't showing up for you. That's weird.
Oh, because he has so damn many videos that it's hard. Wow, this guy's prolific. What is wrong with this guy? Okay, hang on a second here.
Sorry, my dog keeps scratching at my door.
Refuting arguments for evolution. Wow. Yeah, 2 days ago. Oh, okay. I missed it. I was looking for junk DNA. Okay, we'll link that in the chat or in the description.
Do we really want to?
Oh, we do. Yeah, we want to give SFT more views because he's doing so badly on his site. I don't know if you noticed or not. He's doing terrible.
Yeah.
563 views on this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we'll get 60 on this video. Apparently, there are more creationists than there are atheists interested in pushing back on creationism.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Theistic evolutionists and all that.
Yeah.
Or even older creationists.
Yep. Well, we'll have to take a look at that one.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I have nothing. I got nothing.
Oh, okay.
So, I think Wick Leovan is the young Earth creationist that Lou, the animated place, was inviting. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he's saying.
We have that confirmed.
Yeah, we could open the room up here after a little while, whenever you want to, Andrew.
Yeah, I just have one more thing I wanted to talk about, and then we can open it up for a little bit.
Okay.
So I guess, the last thing I wanted to cover was this whole thing by George Bond of how
George Bond.
But basically he's pointing out these phylogenetic incongruencies, and he's saying that when he does point them out, the evolutionists just hand wave them away.
And which ones are those?
What do you mean?
Which ones is he pointing out that we are hand waving away?
Oh, he's saying we're hand waving away all of them.
Yeah. Did he offer any specific examples of what's?
I can't remember, but I don't think so.
Was that on his most recent
he always brings
video?
up that was on the one with McQueen yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he often brings up the example of the platypus, for example, which is just ridiculous. As if it's an actual bird, reptile, mammal mix, which is stupid. But
right.
But like, I mean, they're. Oh, go ahead.
George Bond is a piece of work. He's afraid to come over here. He says that he hates what we do. He hates us, and he doesn't want to debate, and he doesn't want to have a conversation.
I actually offered to debate him on this topic of common ancestry, and he said, well, I'm not going to debate someone who hand waves away phylogenetic incongruencies.
Yeah, he's afraid to be anywhere but in Standing for Truth's echo chamber.
Yeah.
So he's a little scaredy guy.
Oh, Creationist is here.
Hey, Dr. Dan.
Hey, Dr. Dan, would you happen, or just real quick, I guess I was interested in codon usage bias earlier, and do you happen to know anything about it, and if it kind of works in with how they say similar form in the DNA, similar function and all that, if that makes sense?
The whole issue of ribosomal pausing and exact nucleotide sequences in mRNA having an effect on which protein is produced. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, let's see what he says.
Yep.
Yeah, if you could give some insights on that, if possible, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, we looked it up and we found 27,000 new papers on it or something like that. It was.
Yeah.
What did I find? Let me see here.
I feel like we've addressed the incongruencies enough. Do you want to just open the room up, Speed?
Sure. I will. And I will totally lose control of the room.
Yeah.
Now, everybody who's out there telling me I didn't give you a link, I just gave you a link. So there. So I'm not such a bad guy.
Yeah, Wick might want to come in. Wick Leovan, although he gave a very general question already, and we could talk about it for.
Where was that?
That the gentleman that had the YEC person that had questions.
Okay, my question was as follows. What evidence do you have for evolution in nature or in humanity? Well, in nature, the evidence we have for evolution basically consists of the entire field of molecular biology, genetics, population genetics, and just about every other field there is for biology. So there isn't like one little thing I could tell you that is evidence for evolution. The evidence is in how molecules work, how mutations work, how natural selection works, how ecology works, all of that. So, I mean, it's difficult when you guys, Yex, ask what is your best evidence for evolution? Right. There is no, it's basically read all of the textbooks, and that's the evidence. All of the textbooks going right back to organic chemistry. That's the evidence.
Because they often misunderstand what a theory is in science. A theory is not a hypothesis that graduated up into a big, well-tested idea. It's a lot more complicated than that. A theory involves multiple testable hypotheses and multiple pieces of evidence that all point to and interconnect with the same general conclusion about the natural world. Like you can look that definition up, and it's in the National Academy of Sciences, and why can't I think of others? Yeah, it's a lot more complicated than just a hypothesis that became a law or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, it isn't just one thing that convinced me. It's looking at the mechanism, looking at embryology, looking at the entire, just a broad spectrum. And you become convinced, as are all other biologists, or 99.9% of them.
Right. So. Well, I was reading somewhere, it was kind of a good summary of this, basically.
Okay, you do it.
Okay. Sorry, Lou.
Hello.
Did you get sick when we were bouncing you in and out of the stream?
Huh?
Oh, maybe you didn't notice.
No, yeah, it was like going back and forth.
Yeah, me and Scott try to add people at exactly the same time because we're twins. I don't know if anybody knew that, but we're actually twins.
We so much enjoy getting people onto this stream that we just are anxious to click them in.
Right. Yep. How are you, Lou?
I'm doing good. Just had this conversation with YEC.
Is that the guy that's in chat?
It wasn't very productive, as you can tell.
Yeah, probably.
Well, Wick, come on in. Come on in, sir. Or I assume it's a gentleman.
It wasn't very productive, or it was very productive? Sorry.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, okay. Just clarify.
Yep.
My ears.
Yeah, my ears are ringing.
But you're about to have a stroke.
Yeah, I am having a stroke pretty much all the time. Okay, let's say I stand on the same ground for science. Okay. It does not support evolution. It's basically biology with the amino acid and protein nutrients. What? Okay, you're going to have to come and explain that to me. But if you think that science does not support evolution in general, then come on in and tell us why.
Well, I mean, you can understand the body without reference to evolution, but evolution, as many times quoted by, like, Dobzhansky, for example, is the unified framework by which we understand biology.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just explain the facts; it ties them all together.
Yeah, like you can work on treatments for big toe fungus without referring to evolution if you limit it to currently occurring toenail funguses.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it really
the part that you're focusing in on.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if you're looking for like the origin of a virus, for example, or conservation of certain species within a diverse ecosystem, you need to use evolutionary theory.
Yeah, and if you want to cure that toe fungus, it might be a good idea to look at all sorts of fungi everywhere and find bacteria that have developed basically something that kills it. Some other completely independent fungus, and it may work very well on the toe fungus because they are related. And in that sense, you look at evolution.
I mean, like George Bond was talking about this in the stream I mentioned. He was saying, well, evolution is useless because I have this quote and that quote, and besides just being an argument from authority, well, I mean, I guess it isn't, but like he wasn't bringing up any specific examples. He was just saying these people said so, therefore it's not used at all. Which
you can't look at virology and what's been going on with the COVID-19 virus and say that evolution is useless, because it helps us to basically predict that the COVID-19 virus is going to develop different strains due to mutations that we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, and the Delta variant made two mutations that added functional, basically pragmatic information to that genome and allowed the Delta variant to become much more easily spread. 5 times as much? And they know exactly which two mutations did that, and they kind of know what happened to the proteins, what changed in the proteins as a result that actually cause that to happen. So here, the Delta variant is a really good example of natural selection, evolution, and creating new information, new functionality, making something better. The virus is better, not from our perspective. Yeah, not from our perspective.
Okay, so Wick asked this question about butterflies. Let me take a look. Where's my reading glasses?
Should it not transition
into another body like a butterfly? But it's only nature taking its course. It's not evolution. Wick, it would be great to know right now what your definition for evolution is. We have my particular definition. I'm basically getting from other educated sources is that evolution is the change in allele frequencies throughout the generations.
Right. Of a population.
Yeah, I told him that earlier.
So what is your definition of evolution? It may be that you're trying to refute a definition of evolution that nobody shares.
Yeah.
Oh,
now the butterfly is basically the same genotype, creating two different phenotypes depending on the environment it's in, and it's done epigenetically, and it has to do with embryological pathways, and the fact that the butterfly it'll either be a caterpillar or a butterfly, that is a lineage that happens in the embryogenesis of that organism, right? And that lineage is the same as any cell type lineage. Like you have a zygote that turns into a liver cell or a cardiac cell or, some skin, depending on a lineage. It's the same thing with the butterfly, except tons of things follow a different lineage for the caterpillar than they do for the butterfly. And there's nothing surprising about that.
And as Brain Bug and others have pointed out, butterfly metaphor, whatever that word is.
Metamorphosis
is not an example of evolution. Now, critters, little insects have evolved to go through metamorphosis, but that's not an example.
Hey, Scott, you put out the link, right?
It's been put out before, but I'll put it out again.
Okay. I was wondering if maybe CRISPR could join and help with the question since Dr. Dan isn't.
It would be so great to have Wick come on here with us.
Yeah, that too.
Don't be shy. I'm a friendly hyena. I'm your friendly neighborhood hyena guy. and don't let Speed's grumpy visage scare you away. He's a grumpy old man with a heart of gold.
Wait a minute. I can fix that. I can look less grumpy.
There you go. He looks less grumpy.
Okay. That's a kinder, gentler speed of sound.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I look when I'm about to strike.
God. Mom has not watched Evolution, with David Duchovny. And I forget who his co-star was.
I saw that in the theater.
That's a very funny movie. It's a classic. I really recommend it.
Well, I feel like aren't there going to be? Oh, Brain Bug.
Hey!
It's a brain bug. Double brain bug. Double. Oh, I saw a double rainbow the other day. It's like double brain bug.
I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hang out, but I got a few minutes at least.
I got a beetle.
Why is there a
you can join us, Brain Bug? I know your week is kind of out of sync with our particular schedule right now.
Right. It really is. I'm glad Jill are going now because I was able to pop in and say hey. And talk about this butterfly thing because, a metamorphosis of arthropods is not limited to butterflies. Most insects go through some kind of larval to nymphal to adult form biologically that they're distinct from each other within their physiology, but they're still a butterfly. I mean, they're not evolving into a new species when they weave their little cocoon and they come out with wings.
Well, don't all nematodes also kind of not really metamorphosis per se, but like they shed their cuticle, right?
Yeah, and a multitude of arthropods will do that,
Right.
keeping the same basic physiology throughout your life is it's not limited to tetrapods, but it's most prevalent in tetrapods. It's like an ant mimic. It looks like.
What is it?
So it looks like it's an ant mimic. An ant mimic.
Antimony?
And like an ant mimic flower beetle, but I don't. Beetles are notoriously hard to identify, but especially little black beetles. But if you get some color on them, sometimes you can.
I was doing all this stuff with a needle, and I was trying to get all that fuzz off of him, so you can see the needle there. And he was very pliable. I put him back in the freezer, but I was able to separate his legs. And he's got a little bit of yellow right where his neck is, and his head sticks out. He sticks it out kind of. He moves it around like a giraffe, kind of. I don't know. It was kind of cool, but
he has like a longer neck, like a
giraffe.
beetle.
You can see between the I think it's the abdomen and the head. That tended to stick. He looked really weird when I saw him, so I stuck him in a bottle and put him in the freezer. He's going to be okay, though. I'm pretty sure he's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's going to hold it together. You're going to make it, buddy.
He's going to be fine.
No worries.
Yeah.
There's some nice big compound eyes.
Yeah, if I edited these things, it'd be a little better. But that's a picture of his back, and he flies. So he's quite a flyer. But pretty cool. Anyway. Yeah, I looked up beetles in Minnesota, and I couldn't easily find something that matched him.
He's pretty tiny, huh?
Actually, let's see. He was about maybe the width of my thumbnail. He's pretty big, actually. He's not
about
that
10
tiny.
centimeters then. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not centimeters, but my thumbnail, 10 millimeters, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, like 1 centimeter.
Oh, your thumbnail. Okay, not as big as your thumb.
Yeah, thumbnail, not my thumb. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's
So,
a big old.
Yeah, I had my. So anyway, and I have a whole bunch more bugs for you that are all frozen, like fresh frozen. And when I unthaw them, they'll be very pliable, so we can tease them apart. And what I do is I put a divot in my clay and I stick them in there, and I can tease them apart with a. Yeah. So anyway.
That's pretty.
Anyway,
cool.
I think of you every time I look at a bug now.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Yeah, that moth we had last time was still bothering me that I couldn't figure it. But I think it may have been the rosy maple with just some discoloration. But
Yep.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to steamroll the show. What were you guys talking about?
Genetics. Evolution.
Oh, genetics and evolution. Well, I can talk about the ecological side of that. CRISPR should come in and talk about the genetic side of it.
Yeah, I was hoping CRISPR could come in and talk about codon bias.
I think who's the guy in the Wick? Yeah, Wick, come on in here and talk about. I can talk about evolution with you. We can talk about because evolution is it's not just we see it in the fossils or the genes. We also see it in the ecological placement of organisms across geography and across time. So it's really not a disputable process. We see it.
It's a very broad discipline.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder what evolution would look. Evidence for evolution. What would it look like to you, Wick? What would you see if you saw evidence of evolution?
It's probably going to say crocodile chicken.
Or a pine tree giving birth to a banana, or something.
No joke.
Like
Oh, he said like something similar earlier, like freaking apple tree giving birth to an orange tree or something like that.
Well, actually, apple trees give birth to a whole lot of weird. Like every apple tree, every seed on an apple tree is capable of producing a very, very different kind of apple. Did you know that?
Cultivars are very picky. Yeah, like crab apples are not a different species of apples. They're just bad apple trees. They're just they're apple trees that are just producing apples that we as not necessarily to say bad subjectively to humans, because we don't enjoy them, but there's birds and stuff that do. But
yeah, they're proliferating in Poland, and I guess they're like weeds because they have just all these really strange looking apples, and they're because the seeds just go crazy. I mean, they can produce any kind of fruit. Most of them
so
inedible.
It's so dissatisfying that we talk about evolution in terms of populations so much, but never seems to get the message across.
Right, the study of populations over geography, I think, is next to genetics is probably the best evidence that we have that evolution is taking place. That we can see that different environmental pressures produce different success rates among offspring.
All that.
Yeah, God created the crocoduck, and Jesus looked at it and said, "Nope, we're not doing that."
We don't have time for that.
Nope. Oh, so you probably ain't gonna come in.
I mean, does anyone else kind of find it weird how come like the animals that would refute evolution just had to be killed by the global flood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like Archaeopteryx and
like Pegasus. Like some people believe Pegasus
Oh yeah.
existed.
Its wings got tired and it fell into the.
Wait. They
flooding
actually think the flood killed off like Pegasi and Leviathans and whatnot?
Dragons.
No.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
got an
the
invisible
dragons.
Pegasus in my garage right now, so they're okay.
Scott,
Oh.
step away from the pipe.
It whispers new
I
limericks.
don't know. Maybe we need to do a show on cultivars. I think that would help people understand that, because cultivars, been the way that plants reproduce, is a little bit different, and it actually gives us a little bit more insight into the different mechanics of evolution that we can't really see with animals.
I know they never want to talk about plants.
Yeah.
I've always thought about
Plant lives matter.
doing a thing about the evolution of the cultures that make cheese would be a good discussion too.
I have a book on Audible called The History of Cheese. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I downloaded it one time after somebody, I guess the author, did an interview on fresh air or something. I thought that sounds fascinating. But yeah, the history of cheese.
Yeah, and there's evolution there too. I mean, we've cultivated and domesticated these just whole cultures. That, I mean, when you look into it, what goes into making cheese, there's depending on what kind of cheese, there's yeasts and bacterias and funguses and everything. There's this whole little different microcosm just to make your Gouda.
I think
about cheese.
I think plants don't have organs, and they don't have their circulatory system. A lot of things are very simple in plants. Therefore, if you create a polyploid strain, or they duplicate a chromosome or something like that, you'll still end up with a viable organism. So plants, I think, would vary a lot more because of not having to create these very specific tissue pathways for organs. That's just a guess. So,
well, yeah, that makes sense because having different. I mean, you need different cell types to make different organs, and every organ has its own cell type. So plants not having to deal with that. Sure.
And then you have, you've not only got the organ itself, like the liver, but you got the veins that that kind of develop through it. Yeah. And all these different ducts and everything that all develop at the same time from different tissue types. So
that's the importance of stem cells, right? Because they're cells that we can culture to become different types of organ cells, right?
Yeah, they've been able to revert some of them, particularly in the liver, I think, because the liver, if you cut your liver in half, it'll grow back to fill in the space that it has. So, that's one of the few organs that kind of regenerates over time if you don't die.
Vascular plants have organs.
Yeah, but they're not they're not the same as animal organs. They're not quite as intricate embryologically, the way they develop. And the other thing is that plants are embryos that develop throughout the life of the plant. Whereas, flowers are organs. But anyway, the plants, like most animals, go through embryogenesis shortly after they're born and become the adult that they're going to be. Whereas plants continue, the process of embryogenesis is happening in plants all of the time. Every time they grow new roots or new stems or new leaves or whatever. So embryogenesis is different in plants. And it seems like they have an easier time of it than animals, which have to have things more carefully timed. And so I'm suggesting that's why you'll find so many different cultivars and, different variation in plants.
Hey, quickly, this is only a little bit related to plants, but that Netflix documentary they had on fungus?
Yes.
Are there any other good documentaries that anybody knows of or remembers that deal with fungus and their role in ecosystems?
Not many.
Because it's a neglected field.
Yeah.
Or at least it
You
goes
can
on.
find some videos on it, but not many documentaries.
Yeah. I'm trying to see.
Didn't Jackson do a little series on fungus? I don't know if it was a specific fungus, but some kind of fungi he did a series on.
I'll have to check that out.
The almost every top Google search for fungus documentary pulls that one up. Fantastic fungi. Yeah. Unfortunately, that one's kind of taken over Google.
Okay, Wild Eden is providing us with fresh comedy here.
That's good.
A fun guy to be with.
An oldie but a goodie.
Thank you, Wild Eden.
That one's a classic.
Yeah. Sometimes
even women from Scotland can tell dad jokes.
There's something in private chat. Oh, nothing. There's nothing in private chat that
we have a Dr. Josh sighting.
Is that
Dr.
Dr. Joshua Bowen?
It
is
Dr. Joshua Bowen.
The Dr. Josh.
So it seems we've ran out of content speed. Should we shoot in the head soon?
Well, if our friend isn't going to come in and talk to us, our young Earth creationist, where did you meet him? On some other, like Twitter or something?
Nah, it was on the Modern Day Debate channel. The bottom comments where like typically the Christians would comment.
Okay, so what is he called again?
Like Wick Leovan?
Okay, Wick. So if you're still out there, I really invite you to send me an email at speedofsoundofgravity@gmail.com, one word, and we'll get together and we can have a really nice conversation about evolution. And we can record it or we can do it live or whatever you prefer. But we are pretty peaceful people to talk to, as long as you're not standing for truth or little John Maddox or Danny. Anyway, I
think CRISPR corrected you on the plants speed.
What did he say?
He
Ends with dormancy.
Yeah.
So the continued development
it's a different kind of development than embryogenesis.
Well, I have a book that disagrees with you, I think. So I have a textbook that sort of suggests that it's a different.
Is it a neoteny that was that you're referencing for the plants? Is that
not exactly? It's just that when they develop new structures, like every spring, obviously when leaves come out and when branches come out, and it's the same as the early embryogenesis of the plant. So it kind of happens throughout the life of the plant. So when we study Arabidopsis, you can get information throughout the life of the plant. Basically, it doesn't you don't have to catch it right after it hatched. And to me, it's the same embryogenesis. Granted, it's going to be different going from a seed to a small sprout, right? But after it hits a small sprout, it's just going to keep going over and over again. And then when you get the flowers, you got another huge, you got an organ being created in a mature plant. So that would be organogenesis.
Like the plant goes through grow through puberty or whatever, sexual maturity every once a year instead of reaching sexual maturity and just staying there. But that's
but
that would be the case for all plants, but definitely. Go ahead. Sorry.
Christopher loves to disagree with me because I'm a high school dropout. I know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Well, think of it this way, Speed. If you're not wrong on something each day, then what are you doing with your life?
That's a fact. Yep.
Speaking of which, what am I going to be wrong about today?
Wish we had Gur in here. Dessel Drace. He's always wrong.
Yeah,
he's wrong every time he opens his mouth. I mean, just when he comes in the back room, he's wrong already. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, CRISPR is saying that's continuous growth, not it's continued differentiation, but I'm not an expert on this, so I don't quite.
Yeah, understand. I think you're being a little pedantic. I don't know.
Meristematic.
Sorry.
Well, I guess that's one thing you guys disagree on.
Yep, we disagree. I will keep an open mind, CRISPR.
Embryogenesis happening in my testicles sounds like a horror movie premise.
Well, there's something about testicles that everybody needs to know. It seems that almost every damn thing gets expressed in testicles. I mean, like if you look at pseudogenes, they're expressed in your testicles. Just a ton of things get expressed in your testicles, but not in other things. I don't know.
Those are some busy boys down there.
Testicular embryos.
I was hoping CRISPR
I wonder, right? If we were intelligently designed, then why are our testicles, just out ready to get kicked?
I know. Yep.
Why
and like
need that particular environment.
If you're scampering naked through the forest, they catch on bushes and brambles and everything. I mean, it's just the design is just horrible. The design is terrible. I resent that.
It seems like they would just stay up in your body until they're ready for usage, and they would descend with trumpets and drums and timpanis, and just like a great big presentation, and then boom, there it is. It just seems like it would be more important and carefully guarded.
Afrosphere mammals have internal testicles, like elephants and
really,
dugong.
They get all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Aardvarks have internal testicles. It's one of the features of Afrotheres that we used to identify them. So, yeah.
Well, if you plunge them in ice water, they very quickly go up into your body.
That's true. That's another bad design thing. I mean, it's a good design thing, but it just sounds painful.
Well, that always came up in my argument with people when they talk about behemoth from the Bible and say, "Oh yeah, it was an elephant." It's like, well, let's talk about his balls, and elephants don't have, big hanging balls. So,
yeah, bad design. Okay, guys, you want to shoot her in the head?
Sure. Well, I was hoping.
Seems like we have fizzled. Yeah. We'll have to learn about codon bias at another time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Codon bias, I'm going to look into more for you, Andrew. So
okay.
Something I've looked into before. I got a whole lot of papers. I'll find some more. So
now, have you started college yet, Andrew?
Of course.
So how's that going? How are you enjoying it?
It's going good. I've gotten into the routine.
Very cool.
So it's doing good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you need any help with your homework, just let me know.
Okay, boys and girls.
Yeah, diverse set of classes.
we are going to shoot it in the head. Oh my God, we had 17 people watching your rant. Your rants are getting more popular.
That's right.
Oh, cool.
You're becoming the Rush Limbaugh of phylogenetics.
That's good. So I put the link. I put the link out in chat again. If anybody joins the back room within the next 5 minutes before I bail, you can come in and have a talk with anybody that's here privately. So
I think I'll end the stream by saying
nothing.
I was
okay,
like,
I quit breathing.
But then you said that, and then I forgot it.
I held my breath, and like I'm still holding it.
Okay. A rational empiricist will be back to rant once there's something to rant about. So keep it coming, creationists.
And I just want to say, all you guys out there, get your testicles checked out and take good care of them.
Right. Yep. Okay. Goodbye, you goddamn cruel world.